grab a pen or a marker. You want to write down stuff, no problem, just use a marker. Angle DEF, right? So from D to E to F. So if you travel that a bunch of times, you realize you have to connect here. So it's asking for this angle right there. And I was hoping you were gonna see that straight line there. So technically this is an angle out here, and you just need to figure out that little bit left over to make it 180. Okay, so it's 180 minus 135, so you're at 45 degrees there. You get a mark for that. So we know this is 45 at this point. So now you have an angle inside that triangle. Calculate the length of side DF. DF is from here to here. So it's asking for side M in this case. DF, same thing. So that's what? Cosine law? Cosine law? There we go. If that's what you picked, that's exactly what you were supposed to pick. If you didn't pick it, that's exactly what you weren't supposed to pick. Oh, plus, don't forget that. 25.8 times 33.4. Don't forget your squares when you need to square, right? Cosine of 45. And if you type all of this into your calculator, at that point, as soon as you take the root of whatever you get here, you get to drop the square on top of the m. And that's 562.54 and something, and that ends up being 2372 inches. If you have that, lots, marks are just falling down the tree here. 1 mark for setup. I'll give you 1 mark for this step right here where you show me that you're taking the root, and 1 mark for the final answer. Let's say you picked sine law for whatever reason. You probably get 2 out of 3 here, right? You picked the wrong law, but if you're consistent from there, you might still get 2 out of 3. If I punch in what you punched in, and I'm able to replicate your answer, so it's not all lost. Okay, here we go. So this is a multi-triangle scenario. What is ABD? So ABD, right? So if you travel that a bunch of times, you realize they're asking for this. That's ABD. So whether you put an arrow to it and you just said that that's 110, right? You just go 180 minus 70. That is 110. And then for this one, you do a separate arrow because I need to know, do you know which one is which? If you just give me 2 numbers on a test, you might lose some marks there because we're not sure if you understand. ADB, A to D to B, right? So you're traveling here this whole time, and that's where the angle is. So that one is sum of triangle, right? So now you need to go 180 again, subtract the 50, subtract the 110 you just found. What is that? That's 20? 20 degrees? So now you know that this is 20 up here. So you got 1 mark for each correct answer. B, determine the distance between Amrinder's first location right here and Dwayne. So it's asking for this here. You can call it whatever you want. I prefer a letter there. So what are we using? 20 is across 200, right? Like this angle has a pair, has a side across from it that is known. Sine law. Let's say you try cosine law. No SSS, no way. SAS, also no way. There's no other side. So you're stuck with sine law, right? So sine of 20 over 200. And if I want the x here, I need to use 110. Cross multiply and divide. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So you get 549.50 yards. And of course, if let's say this one here is 20 for you or whatever, then you lose the mark. You lose the mark for this, but you wouldn't lose the mark again for this here If you make a mistake here, obviously it's going to carry over. If you use this angle in your work here, you wouldn't lose any marks here. You only lose it once, and then if you're consistent thereafter, you get to score all those marks. Okay. Calculate the height of the cliff. So the height is right here. I'm going to say this. You want a slant. This is the height of the cliff right here, the dashed line. I'm going to use this answer that I just found, which is 549.50. I'm going to use the 50-degree angle out here. Okay. I have a 90 and this, so this is a pair. Perfect. And the 50 is going to allow me to solve for h. So I kind of ignore this side here because I didn't find it. So sine of 90 over 549.50 is equal to sine of 50 over h. So cross multiply. Divided by sine of 90. We all know that that's 1 by now. And so you get 420.94. If you used cosine law, you would be in trouble, and I'll explain why. If you use cosine law, this 200 doesn't get you all the way to the base here, right? So you would need to know this whole side and this whole side in order to figure out, right? So always remember, which triangle are you in? The 200 only belongs to this one here. So you can't use cosine law in this case. If it worked for you, I don't know, that's a fluke. It shouldn't. So 2 marks again. Sorry, I wasn't clear with the marks earlier, right? I give you a mark for setup, a mark for work, a mark for final answer. And because you're doing the same thing again, I'll give you a mark for setup and a mark for final answer. So we have 7, 10, 11. This page, this whole page is worth 11 marks. Backside. So a ship leaves the port right here at the start and travels 42 miles, unloads the cargo, right, and then travels another 35 until you reach a destination. So this is a destination right here. This is technically considered the turning point at that intersection. So determine the value of y, angle y. What do you think y is? Can you make a straight line and say the 50 is touching it? No, right? There's a 90 right here in this corner. I don't know if you see that, but there's a 90 there. So to get y, we would just go 90 minus 55. And that's 35 degrees, so you get a mark for this one. Now value of x, of angle x, this one right here. Let me see, this is 35. You have a pair, so that is going to help you figure out this angle, this side right there. And we have to use sine law in this case. I don't know, I didn't pick good numbers. Sine of 35 degrees over 35. Don't let that throw you off. It is what it is. But normally we want to try to stay away from that. Sine of x over 42. So here is the review on how to solve for an angle using sine law. So I'll give you a mark for that setup. So sine of x is going to be found by going 42 times sine of 35 divided by 35. And that should be a 0. It should start with a 0. When you're about to take the inverse, you should always have a 0 there. So I give you a mark for this step here where you show me the work. And last but not least, you use the inverse. and that gives you 43.50 degrees. That's the third mark that I'm going to give you there. The angle at the turning point, we want that angle up there. Let's call it angle T. And we've got two angles already. We've got this one and this one. So we're just going to go minus 35, minus 43.50. So you get to score this one here if you're doing the steps. You still score no matter what happened above. 101.50. Obtuse triangle, right? Calculate the distance between the start and the final destination. So this is your start, and that's your final destination, so we want that. I was hoping you were going to use cosine law, but it doesn't matter. Up here, we have the 101. Okay. So if you have the 101.50, you've got 35 miles, you've got 42 miles. You can figure this out right here. Oh, we used x already. Let's use a different letter. Y. So if you use cosine law, bear with me. And you do the work. I'm going to skip that because by now you should know. 59.79. What do you get if you use sine law? The same? Do we get the same for sine law? Yeah? 0.01 off? Yeah, that's what it should be, and you will never lose marks if you use a different law, because it's slightly off there. So 3 marks again. I would say 1 mark for setup, 1 mark for work, 1 mark for final answer. I skipped the work, of course, on this one. So this page is 3 and 1, that's 4, plus 3, that's 7, 8. So we've got a total of 8 here. If you want to look at the lease, if you did it, I'm just going to put the key in front so you can check. I'm not going to take the time right now to do it. There's your answer for it.